We're live from River Valley Room.
Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and acknowledge the diverse indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as Cree, Dene, Sotu, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, as well as Métis and Inuit, and now settlers from around the world. And I will do a quick roll call of committee members. Councillor Wright will be joining us in a few minutes. Councillor Knack.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Principe.
Hello.
Councillor Rutherford.
Good afternoon.
Member Burrows.
Good afternoon.
And Member Medamombe. Is Member Medamombe joining us virtually, or?
He sent his regrets for today.
Oh, he sent his regrets? Okay, got it. All right, but we do have quorum. And I will go to Councillor Principe to move the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you. I would like to move that the April 21st, 2023 Special Audit Committee meeting agenda be adopted with the following change. The addition of item 4.1, external auditor, non-audit services request, and have it remain private pursuant to sections 16 and 25 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Good. Any questions on the adoption of the agenda? Seeing none, please vote.
I'm a yes. E-scribe spinning, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford.
And I think I was able to vote. I'm a yes, just in case it didn't show up.
Okay. We're just having some technical difficulties. We'll see if we can cancel and reload the vote.
Are you going to recall? You want me to recall the vote and do it again?
My apologies, it now is working. So we now have all the votes.
You got all the votes? So please display the votes.
Sorry, we do have all the votes. It was carried 5-0-0.
Okay, thank you. My bad. I should have gone through the list if other council members are joining us, so let me do that. Councillor Rice, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. That's about it. Thank you so much, Councillor Rice, joining us. Now, any protocol items? Any protocol items? Seeing none, select items for debate. Guess you want to select any items, or Councillor Principe, or anyone want to select any items for debate? It's Friday.
I do, but I can't click in.
You can just tell me which one, Councillor Knack.
Yeah, I was, thank you. I was going to select items 3.1 and 3.2.
3.1, 3.2, okay. Thank you, Councillor Knack. Anyone want to select 4.1?
Me, please.
Councillor Rutherford. All right, so that's all the items. Okay, we don't have to vote on the balance. Request to speak. Request to speak, seeing none. Request for specific time on agenda, none. We are into our public reports. The first one is 3.1, City of Edmonton 2022 Consolidated Financial Statements. This will be council committee discussion, then we'll make a recommendation to council. This requires council approval, and we'll go to our administration to make a presentation.
Good afternoon, committee. The report before you addresses our formal legislated 2022 financial reporting. It includes the draft consolidated financial statements for the City of Edmonton, along with management's responsibility for financial reporting and the independent auditor's report. Also included in this report is the draft financial statement discussion and analysis, which provides additional background to support an understanding of the consolidated financial results. I'll pass it over to Kent Bjornstad, the Director of Corporate Accounting Reporting and Policy, to walk you through a brief presentation, which will cover some of the key differences between our legislative reporting and our financial reporting.
Thanks, Harm. The consolidated financial statements before you have been prepared by management in accordance with the Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards, PSAS, as required by the Municipal Government Act. The MGA requires the financial statements to be made public by May 1st the following year, the fiscal year reflected in the financial statements. So in this case, the 2022 financial statements must be posted on the City's website by May 1st, 2023. The statements are required to be audited by an external auditor with findings presented to Audit Committee. The City's external financial statement auditor is KPMG. The auditor will issue an auditor report on the financial statements, assessing whether the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the entity as at December 31st, 2022. These financial statements are most commonly used by academia, financial institutions, other municipalities, and other orders of government to assess the city's financial health. More summarized financial reporting is provided through the financial report to residents, which includes highlights from the more detailed financial statements and provides citizens with a summary of the city's financial health. That document is created and produced after the financial statements are reviewed by Audit Committee and approved by City Council. Next slide, please. The legislative financial statements presented here today reflect a different presentation of financial information than the quarterly performance reports that are provided to City Council. Budgets are developed with a focus on ensuring the city raises sufficient funds to support, build, and operate the city, and therefore the city financial performance reporting focuses on a comparison of actual results to budget. The first main difference is that the legislative reporting includes all organizations within the city's consolidated reporting entity. These are organizations that manage their own budgets and have their own respective boards. Quarterly performance reporting provided to City Council only includes the City of Edmonton legal entity for which Council approves the budget. The other key differences between the reporting are in the expenses, where the legislative statements include non-cash expenses such as amortization and exclude transfers to and from reserves, transfers from between operating and capital, and principal debt repayments. These differences are identified in Note 29 to the financial statements, reconciling the 2022 budget to the 2022 financial statements. Next slide, please. The financial statements reflect city departments as well as a number of organizations and enterprises accountable for the administration of their financial affairs and resources to the City of Edmonton. EPCOR, a subsidiary corporation of the city, is accounted for on a modified equity basis consistent with the generally accepted accounting treatment for a government business enterprise. EPCOR reports their results in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards. Under the modified equity basis, EPCOR's accounting principles are not adjusted to conform with those of the city, and inter-organization transactions or balances are not eliminated. The financial statements exclude trust assets under administration for the benefit of external parties. Next slide, please. The preparation of financial statements includes amounts based on the best estimates and professional judgment of management. A summary of these instances where management has made significant assumptions and estimates is provided in Attachment 3 to this report and are also included in Note 1 of the financial statements, Significant Accounting Policies. There are several new standards that will be coming into effect in the upcoming years. Management continues to assess these standards to determine their impact on the financial statements. The future accounting standards are further discussed in Note 1T to the financial statements. Next slide, please. In terms of next steps, subject to recommendations of the Audit Committee, the 2022 City of Edmonton Audit Consolidated Financial Statements are scheduled to be presented to City Council for approval at their meeting on April 25th. The annual report will be available on the City's website shortly thereafter. The deadline for submission of audited consolidated financial statements legislated in the Municipal Government Act is May 1st, 2023. The Provincial Financial Information Return Reporting template is being finalized and will be filed with the Minister after the approval of the financial statements. Summarized financial reporting to residents will be provided with the reference to the full financial annual report later this year. The financial report to residents provides a condensed analysis of the financial statement and budget information in a shorter, more accessible format. This concludes our presentation, and we'd be pleased to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Now we'll go to questions from colleagues to administration. And this was exempted by Councillor Knack. You want to go first, Councillor Knack?
Actually, if others can go first, I'm just in the process of switching from the portable venue to the in-person venue, so I'll be on camera right away.
No problem. Colleagues, questions? Chris? Huh? Oh, we'll tail the KPMG? Okay. Yeah.
Well, if nobody has questions,
should they be cross-referenced, or should we get both presentations together?
We've typically done them separately.
Okay, got it. No worries. Maybe I'll start. I'm just trying to understand the liability of the external agencies that are, whether they're part of solely funded by the city or still solely owned by the city. Like, how does, I know you reflect that in the financial statements. You're talking about Edmonton Unlimited, Competitive Sports Commission, Fort Edmonton Park, nonprofit housing corporations. Specifically, when you're looking at the nonprofit housing corporations page, what would that be? Can't see the page here. The financial assets are about $9 million, for liabilities almost $55 million, right? So just trying to understand that, like, how does that put us at risk? Like, how do you see that? Yeah.
So these are the consolidated financial statements. So all the entities and organizations as the city that we control that are under our reporting entity, so including all of those ones you just mentioned, all of their assets, liabilities, and revenues and expenses would be consolidated with these financial statements. So in terms of responsibility, who's responsible for the liability, it would be that organization. So that, yeah.
So if external organization is not doing well, right, who is responsible? Is that external agency responsible at the end of the day, or is the city responsible at the end of the day?
So for consolidation financial reporting purposes, I don't think it gets into responsibilities.
Okay.
It's more about control. So I would think, and it may be a legal question as well, but I would think that they have their board commission and we provide them funds, so they're responsible for managing their assets, their liabilities, and their finances.
Okay, so they're the one responsible for that aspect, right? And this is reported as part of the overall consolidated
Correct.
numbers, right? Okay, good. That's the only one that kind of stood out to me. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Any other questions, colleagues? Councillor Knack?
Yes, there we are. Sorry, just made it unmute. There we go. Actually, no major questions, just one small one that I was a touch confused about. So in attachment 1 on, I think it was page 6 of 46, or is it, sorry, yeah, page 6 of 46, where it's approved on behalf of City Council. I think it's usually the chair of Audit Committee and the vice chair. I just saw that Mayor Sohi's name and my name, and I think it'd actually be Councillor Wright. Did I misread? Or is it because we're in the current deputy mayor rotation? I thought it was chair and vice chair.
Councillor Knack, I'm not too sure if it needs to be, usually we have the mayor as the chair of the audit committee, and then we can pick any other councillor. So I'm not too sure if there's a strict requirement that it has to be the chair or the vice chair.
Okay, I mean, happy to have my name, but I think it was there from before when I was vice chair last term, but I just thought it might be better. If it doesn't matter, then so be it. But in case it did, I thought it should be Councillor Wright, obviously, as vice chair. And it might not hurt either way to have her as the one.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. Councillor Rice.
Just a really quick question and regarding attachments and under this item. I didn't see the presentation in eScribe, and is there any presentation and we just received that will be included in the report list?
Yeah, sorry if the presentation wasn't in eScribe, Councillor Rice. We can provide that to you.
Oh, wonderful. I just so think the information here, they are specific for the reporting entity, and the mayor asked that clarification as well, and I think that would be really helpful information. Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Any more questions, colleagues? Seeing none, let's see. There is a recommendation in the report. Would someone like to move the recommendation, please?
So moved.
Councillor Rutherford, that the audit committee recommend to council that the 2022 City of Edmonton audit consolidated financial statement set out in attachment 1 of the April 21st, 20 financial and corporate services be approved. Okay, this will go to council if committee approves it. All right, please. Oh, sorry. We have a motion on the floor. Anyone to speak? Seeing none, please vote. Oops. Sorry. Just hold on. Can you please withdraw the vote? Was there someone to speak? Councillor Rutherford, to close?
Yeah, just quickly, I just wanted to say, you know, as I was reading the audited financial statements, and I think, you know, it's really important to give credit to our amazing financial team within administration. What I could see from this report is, you know, how much control and care and thought and best practices are being used within the city, and it made me quite proud. And I think often the public perception can be that we are not managing our money well, but these audits demonstrate quite the opposite. And so I just wanted to take a moment. I know our financial team was so busy with budget, was so busy with so many things. It seems like every quarter there's something that they're really busy working on. And so I just, in my closing, wanted to thank them for an exceptional report, a really easy to read report, and one that really demonstrates really good, sound financial work in a very dynamic organization. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Rutherford. Yeah, please, let us, and whole committee appreciates your work, and thank you so much for that leadership and transparency. Good. All right. So with that, please, I'll call the vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. All right. Now we are on to the second item, which is the 3.2 KPMG 2022 Audit Findings Report. We have some folks here from KPMG joining us. Nice to see you both again.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Brelli. I'm the lead partner on the City of Edmonton Audit. And with me here today is Natalie Canal, who's the Engagement Senior Manager. And we are representing KPMG, your external auditors. You've been provided our findings report, which summarizes the results of our audit of the city's financial statements for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2022. And this report builds on our planning report that we presented to you in December. For the purpose of this presentation, we will assume that the report has been read and will highlight the more significant items for your benefit. And I'll pass it over to Natalie to do that.
Thank you, Robert. I'll continue the conversation on page 4 and 5 of our report, which starts on page 94 of your agenda package. These pages summarize our activities performed to date and our overall audit status. As an update on our audit status, we have completed our audit of the external financial statements of the City of Edmonton as at and for the year ended December 31st, 2022. This is of course pending our discussion today and the approval of the financial statements by City Council, which is expected to occur next week. We've had full cooperation of administration throughout the audit, and we had full and open access to all documentation required. We are satisfied that the city's consolidated financial statements, as provided to you today, are a fair presentation of the city's financial position and operating results, and that the significant accounting policies, estimates, and disclosures in the financial statements are appropriate. Our report confirms to the Audit Committee that we are independent with respect to the city, and it includes a copy of our management representation letter, which will be signed by management and administration once the consolidated financial statements are approved by Council. As part of our audit plan, we had outlined a number of areas of focus, and any findings are summarized starting on page 6 of our report. The first area I wanted to highlight is with respect to the valuation of the investment portfolio held by the city. Every year we spend time assessing whether there are any indicators of impairment in the investment portfolio. Although there is some volatility in the markets this year, based on our procedures, there are no indicators of impairment in the current year. We've also performed testing over the completeness of the city's liabilities, and this pertains to various liabilities, which can include trade payables, liabilities related to expropriation, developer obligations, any amount where an amount is recorded prior to an invoice or as other form of request for payment. Based on the testing we performed, there are no findings where liabilities were incomplete. Our other areas of focus include recognition of revenue for amounts subject to external restrictions, the completeness and accuracy of contributed tangible assets to the city, and where tangible capital assets have been transferred from being in construction previously and are now in service. We are satisfied that our audit work will appropriately address all of these areas of focus, and we have no findings to report. The final risk area I'll mention is with respect to fraud, and specifically the presumed fraud risk of management override of control. This is a risk that is present in every audit, and as administration is in a unique position to perpetrate fraud due to their involvement in the financial reporting process. Our response to this risk is twofold. First, we assess the control environment to make sure there are sufficient controls designed and implemented to mitigate this risk. And secondly, we would test journal entries, which would be entries into the financial records that may be indicative of a higher risk. Based on the procedures performed, we have no findings to report on this. As we continue the discussion on pages 10 and 11 of our report, during the course of our audit, we did not identify any adjustments that were required to the financial statements. Additionally, we did not identify any control deficiencies with respect to the city's financial processes, and that we determined to be significant control deficiencies, and no other control observations that we felt warranted the conversation and attention of the committee. The remainder of our report includes our draft management representation letter, which, as I mentioned, will be signed next week. It also includes our draft unmodified auditor's report. As indicated within that report, we are not engaged to provide assurance over the financial statement discussion and analysis or the annual report. However, as your external auditors, we are required to read the information and ensure it is materially consistent with the audited financial statements. Further, we have verified that all the numbers that are included in the audited financial statements are appropriately reflected in those documents, and based on the procedures performed, we've noted no inconsistencies. In conclusion, we greatly appreciate the continued opportunity to work with the city as your external auditor, and we open the floor to any questions you may have for us on our report.
Thank you so much. Those are very glowing things that you said about all the work that administration does. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. And speaks, obviously, what Councillor Rutherford was stressing earlier on. Good. All right. Questions, colleague? Councillor, right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, very clean report. I'm just wondering, on page 11, you talk about the consideration of internal controls and had a more extensive procedure of the internal controls been done. There may have been, and I'm not saying that there would have been any other audit findings, but is it recommended with an organization of this size to maybe have that extensive audit done on a periodic basis?
I believe that falls under the purview of the city auditor, and I believe that they perform audits as directed by council on internal controls issues. So to the extent that we identify them as part of our audit, we'll bring it to your attention, but generally that's in the purview of the city auditor.
Okay, so it's not something that MNP would do, or sorry, KPMG, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I wanted to know.
Good.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Member Burrows?
Thank you. Couple of questions, perhaps, in some of the minutiae, Ms. Kennel or Mr. Borelli. Future pronouncement readiness. Is it your position that the city is kind of ready for kind of the future pronouncements that are laid out?
Yes, obviously it's an ongoing project, and we've been having collaborative discussions with administration throughout the last year, and will continue to do so. We've even looked at certain procedures in the progress of management to date. Overall, we have no concerns with the progress that they're making, and we continue to have conversations about what is being done here and seeing what's being done nationally and comparing that to what's been done by administration here.
Okay, thank you. Any differences in kind of the estimates and the assumptions in terms of what KPMG would have selected as kind of a more reasonable assumption? Are the estimates and assumptions as made by the city reasonable, or is there an immaterial difference between what KPMG would have assessed and what management has put forward?
During the course of our procedures, we do look at estimates to see if there's bias in assumptions, methodology, or application, and we didn't identify any. We found it to be neutral. That was our overall conclusion. This year, what we looked at closely was we looked at the expropriation accrual, and we found them to be free of bias, in our opinion.
Okay, another one in the minutiae, if I may. In the assessment of kind of the liability position on in the statement of financial position, any concerns around the amount of deferred maintenance and liabilities that may be giving rise to?
No concerns based on what we've performed.
Okay. And I think I heard you say, Ms. Kennel, full cooperation of the accounting team. No concerns?
No concerns, for sure. Definitely full cooperation.
And finally, anything else that we haven't talked about that we need to?
There's no other items that came to our attention that outside of what's in our report that we need to bring to your attention at this point in time. If there were, we would notify you instantly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes the questions. Thank you so much once again. Now we will go to any colleague to move the recommendation. Councillor Principe, please go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to move that the April 21st, 2023 KPMG report EXT 01851 be received for information.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Any questions on the motion? Or anyone to speak? Seeing none, please vote. Vote. Good. Okay. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Now, can someone move that we go into private, please?
I move that we go into private subject to
Section 16.
Section 16 and 25.
Okay. Thank you. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. We'll give you a couple of minutes to
Just give us 1 minute to open up the room.
Yeah, no worries. Joanne, you want to move the recommendation?
We are back in public.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, can you please move the recommendation?
Yes, I move that the request from KPMG to submit a proposal for consulting services as outlined in attachment 1 of the April 21, 2023 Financial and Corporate Services Report FCS 01866 be approved, and that the April 21, 2023 Financial and Corporate Services Report FCS 01866 remain private pursuant to Section 16 and Section 25 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Any questions? Anyone to speak? Seeing none, please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Motions pending, none. We are adjourned.